We have taken a number of whacks here in the United States for trying to stimulate the economy by just shoveling trillions of dollars at the richest people in the country, implying that that will then trickle down to everyone else. It always struck me as we could take off the middleman by giving it to those people, but whatever, I don't know anything, I'm not an elected official. We're not the only ones, by the way. This has been tried in a number of different countries over a number of decades, and now we've got the results of a study looking at all of it. 18 different countries, half a century. What is the actual impact of these sorts of tax cuts that are predominantly targeted at the wealthiest individuals? Well, it's available online if you'd like to find out, but the sort of headline version of this is that large tax cuts for the rich cause higher income inequality. They don't fuel economic growth or cut unemployment. This is according to a new paper by academics from the London School of Economics and King's College London. And this is gonna be an actual quote directly from the paper that says, we find that major tax cuts for the rich push up income inequality as measured by the top 1% share of pre-tax national income. The size of the effect is substantial. On average, each major tax cut results in a rise of 0.8 percentage points in top 1% share of pre-tax national income. The effect holds in both the short and medium term. Turning our attention to economic performance, we find no significant effects of major tax cuts for the rich. More specifically, the trajectories of real GDP per capita and the unemployment rate are unaffected by significant reductions in taxes on the rich in both the short and medium term. Now, my reaction is, duh, this is not the most surprising thing in the universe, but it's not persuasive when I say that. I am hoping that LSE and King's College London will be a little bit more persuasive.
You know what's interesting about it is that those universities and some of the top universities around the country, all they teach is Chicago School Economics. All they teach is trickle down economic theory. That's all they teach. And now the study shows what we've known intuitively. I mean, I'm not an economist, but I do have a degree in economics, but I also have common sense. When you give money to rich people, they can hoard it. They don't have to spend as a matter of survival. When you give it to working people, they have to spend it as a matter of survival. So it is literally a direct stimulus to give it to working people versus what we've been doing over the last 50 years.
And on the hoarding note, like the reason that billionaires exist is because there's something deeply wrong with the mindset of a person who cannot stop accumulating and hoarding. Like they exist because they are people that hoard money. That is why people are rich. Like let's give people that hoard money and then they'll not hoard it anymore. Like that doesn't make any sense. And the thing that makes me feel a little bit cynical is, despite the fact that this study was published by probably the most reputable sources in the world of economics, I can't imagine it convincing any Trump voter who somehow thinks the Trump tax cuts are good are actually good. It's just like yet another thing for a person in a Facebook fight with like their uncle from home to put as proof in the responses and have the person say fake news in response. So, it is nice to feel vindicated because yeah, of course trickle down economics doesn't work. It's never worked. But I don't know on the ground how many minds this will change and how long it'll take to change minds.
Yeah, now that I think about it, having the London School of Economics on my side isn't necessarily going to sway these conservatives. Now that I think about it,
liberal university, the liberals.
The doctors believe this. These people with their doctorates.
Economists.
Yeah,
well, to learn more about this.
And the only other thing I want to say about this, and this is just for me, the argument I'm gonna make has always been most appropriate for tax cuts targeted at the uber wealthy, but I think it can be applied to a lot of things. When someone says, "Here's the thing I want to do, and here's why I think it's a good thing," like they say, "Let's do these tax cuts for the wealthy," but then they're just gonna put that into things that benefit everyone. I always ask, what if you're wrong? And the thing that's always bothered me about the tax cuts thing is, if they're wrong, and if it doesn't stimulate the economy, if it doesn't lower unemployment, they still got the money. So it's always been really suspicious to me that like the fail state for you is ever increasing wealth. I feel like we should change that. Like maybe, Erin was talking about the hoarding. Maybe if we set up some sort of, like we could do a wealth tax, but if you don't like that as an alternative, we're gonna set up a piece of legislation that I like to call the Brewster's Billions situation, which is you can earn all this money, but you gotta spend it, okay? You can't hoard it.
Yes.
You gotta go out there and spend it instantly.
Right. Right, because that's the economic stimulus part. That's the economic stimulus part. If you give these tax breaks and they hoard it, it will literally not stimulate the economy. And this is what we suffered after 2008 and 2009 when they bailed out the banks instead of the people. We saw pent up capital to the tune of $2 trillion. They weren't spending it and they weren't stimulating the economy. Sorry, I didn't mean to go there, Rant.
That's a perfectly fine rant, perfectly appropriate.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.